U.S. presidential elections are watched by millions worldwide, with high stakes and historic moments. But beyond the headlines, here are three fascinating facts about American elections that might surprise you. In the U.S., the Electoral College actually decides the winner of the presidential election, not the popular vote. This system is a unique feature of American democracy and has been the subject of much debate and discussion over the years. This unique system means each state has a certain number of electors based on its population size, which is determined by the most recent census. Larger states like California and Texas have more electors, while smaller states like Vermont and Wyoming have fewer. The candidate who gets the majority of these electoral votes, a minimum of 270, wins the presidency. This threshold ensures that a candidate has broad support across the country, rather than just in a few populous areas. This system has led to situations where a candidate can win the popular vote but lose the election, which has happened 5 times in U.S. history. These instances often spark intense debate and calls for reform. One of the most notable examples is the controversial 2016 election, where the candidate who won the popular vote did not become president. This outcome has led to ongoing discussions about the fairness and future of the Electoral College system. Today, presidential inaugurations take place on January 20th, a date that has become synonymous with the peaceful transfer of power in the United States. This day is marked on calendars and celebrated with grand ceremonies, parades, and speeches. But that wasn't always the case. In fact, the tradition of January 20th is relatively new in the grand scheme of American history. Before 1933, presidents were inaugurated on March 4th, giving them 4 months after the election to prepare for their new role. This allowed ample time for the incoming administration to transition smoothly. This long transition period was due to slower travel and communication in the 18th and 19th centuries. Back then, it took much longer for information to travel across the country and for the president-elect to make their way to the Capitol. However, with the 20th Amendment passed in 1933, the date was moved to January to shorten the waiting period and prevent a long lame duck session of Congress and the outgoing president. This change was made to ensure a more efficient and timely transition of power, reflecting the advancements in transportation and communication that had taken place by the early 20th century. Not every U.S. citizen can vote for president. This might come as a surprise to many, considering the democratic values the country upholds. Even though every U.S. president represents the entire country, not all U.S. citizens can vote in presidential elections. This is due to a variety of historical and legal reasons that have shaped the current voting landscape. Residents of U.S. territories like Puerto Rico, Guam, and the U.S. Virgin Islands cannot vote in the presidential election, though they are still U.S. citizens. These territories have their own local governments, but when it comes to federal elections, their voices are not heard. Additionally, Washington, D.C. didn't gain the right to vote for president until 1961, with the passing of the 23rd Amendment. Before this amendment, residents of the nation's capital had no say in choosing the president. These unique voting rules reflect the complex system of U.S. territories and federal laws. The situation highlights the ongoing debates about representation and voting rights in the United States, showing that the right to vote is not as straightforward as it might seem. So, which fact about U.S. presidential elections surprised you the most? Let us know in the comments, and make sure to subscribe for more fascinating facts and insights about the world's most impactful events.